Hello and welcome to OT, the podcast. We're here to talk about watches, time, and how to spend it. My name is Andy Green, and with me is
Felix Schultz. How are you, Andy? What's going on?
very good, Felix. We have lots to talk about. We have a bit of a discussion taking place today.
No guests.
No guests. Only Watch auction is coming up.
Yeah. Top line, if you've never heard of Only Watch before, that's entirely reasonable. It's a charity auction. We'll get into who and what and when and how in a minute. But before that, Andy, have you heard of Judith Love Cohen?
I don't know that I have.
Well, she was an aerospace engineer in the 50s. And she was involved with NASA, as aerospace engineers in the 50s tended to be. And she actually, sort of in the background, as you know, but a woman in those days in NASA would have been, she did a lot of the computational work. One of the important things she did with the computational work, and by the way, if anyone from Amiga is listening, you need to put a limited edition out for this woman and maybe get a new ambassador on board, and that will become clear in a little moment. So she wrote a thing called the Abordance Guidance System for the Apollo lunar module, and it was used for Apollo 13. And so the abort guidance system was basically a checklist and a guidebook for what happened when shit went wrong. And on Apollo 13, shit most definitely went wrong. So it was an important document to have written. But the story got a bit more interesting when she finished writing it as she was giving birth, or after she gave birth, or shortly around the period of her giving birth to one of her sons. Do you know who her son ended up being?
I do.
Just ruined my story. Who's the son?
Jack Black.
How good is that?
Amazing.
I think that's a great story. I think Amiga needs to get Jack Black as an ambassador because of his,
I think he's a Rolex man. So maybe they can get him to switch teams.
I've never really noticed Jack Black wearing watches.
Yep.
I'm too dazzled by his beard and his voice.
I think he wears a Smurf, white gold sub. Pretty stealthy, pretty low key, like him.
He's just such a nice guy. I'll be devastated if Jack Black ends up being an asshole in some way.
His YouTube channel's pretty good. We should link that up.
Yeah, I recently rewatched both the Goosebumps movies.
Okay.
Though, to be honest, I think the sequel, they couldn't really afford Jack Black quite as much because he sort of made a drop in appearance.
I love it.
What have you been up to? Have you been getting into NASA science and inspirational epic rock like I have?
Always, but not lately. I have been reading. So latest book I've just put down is Lincoln Lawyer, Novel 6, Law of Innocence.
All right. That Lincoln Lawyer?
I don't think that was Lincoln Lawyer. Wasn't that Dazed and Confused?
No. Lincoln. There was
Matthew McConaughey, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, at this point in our 2020, isn't all right shorthand for Matthew McConaughey?
I'm pretty niche. I go straight to Dazed and Confused.
Wow, you're so much cooler than everyone else.
Yeah. Well, you got to know your memes.
It's either that or Magic Mike.
Know your memes, Felix.
Tell us about this book. What's going on?
Well, it's a series, so it's sort of the classic lawyer, but it's interesting because it was written in 2020, so there's sort of references to the pandemic sort of throughout, and it's got the obviously took a little bit of time to be written and come together. So it's sort of like it starts off with the murmurs of this flu coming out of Wuhan, China, and sort of it evolves into the background. It's sort of been weaved into the narrative, which I think is quite interesting, and we're probably going to see more of in pop culture in general, with things that were sort of produced and created during the last sort of 18 months.
On that, actually, I've got that reminds me of something that I read a little while ago, a book by a guy named William Gibson, who's a writer I particularly like. He sort of does this was like a near future sort of dystopian thing, like set in 2030 or something like that. But he was very frustrated because he was writing it from 2016, 2012, that sort of Trump's presidency. And he had to keep rewriting it because all his far-fetched scientific horror stories of corrupt politicians and Russia being a new threat on the global stage and North Korea assassinating people just kept happening.
He's far too accurate.
Like, you just imagine, right, it's got to be plausible but not believable. And then he's like, shit, just watching the news every time, just having to up the ante a little bit for his post-apocalyptic fiction. Grim, but true.
There you go. Anyway, well, this has 4.5 stars on Amazon out of 30,000
nice.
ratings, so it's pretty popular novel. I'm sure a lot of people read it. Michael Connolly is great. He's probably my favourite law kind of, I guess, legal thriller author.
Yep.
So yeah, if that's your jam, sort of
It's a
came out late
series?
last year. Yeah, well, obviously they based the movie off of something
Yep.
of I think the original one.
Yeah.
So this is the latest, which is book 6. But obviously Michael Connelly's written a bunch of other stuff as well.
Sure.
So
He's got to make a living.
yeah,
Nice.
legal thrillers,
I'll
man.
pick it up. I don't mind a good legal drama.
You can have my copy, Felix. I'm done with it.
I don't read physical books much anymore. I only read them on the old phone Kindle.
Okay, all right. Your
I'm
choice.
a monster.
Terrible human.
This week's episode is brought to you by Tag Heuer. Tag Heuer has given the Aqua Racer a significant update this year. Let's find out a little bit about it.
Significant indeed. There is more to Tag Heuer than chronographs. Did you know that Tag Heuer has been making dive watches since 1978?
Really?
Really. And their journey into dive watches started with a model called the Reference 844, but we will get to that in a moment.
So Tag Heuer's given the Aqua Racer some comprehensive updates this year. Andy, you've had a look, I've had a look, and from my point of view, I've got to say that the Aqua Racer is looking better than ever.
I can agree. What specifically are we looking at in the update department here, Felix?
Okay, so the main thing is a slimmer, more refined case. There's chamfered sides that feel better on the wrist, and they have that nice, cool, reflective interplay of light element going on. The date Cyclops now sits underneath the crystal, and the dial has been slightly refined with updated indexes. The bracelet is another significant upgrade. There's improved ergonomics and a very nice sliding buckle that allows for up to 1.5 centimeters of on-the-go adjustment, which is perfect for a wetsuit. And with 300-meter water resistance, you could well wear with this watch with a wetsuit.
Yeah, fantastic. And in terms of new models, we've actually been treated to a bunch. In the 43mm size, there are black, blue, and silver versions, the latter having a glossy black ceramic bezel and matching hour surrounds for a really high contrast look. There are also smaller 36mm models with wavy dial patterns that are also available in blue, black, and silver. The blue one actually has 8 diamond hour markers for a bit of extra sparkle.
Nice. And these are just the regular core collection Aqua Racers. There's 2 special new sort of releases that are doing things a little bit different, aren't there?
Yep, remember that Reference 844 that we talked about? Well, Tag Heuer have made a really nice vintage-inspired tribute with vintage-style loom, a red inner 24-hour scale, and a period-correct rally-style strap-in rubber. I've actually gone hands-on with this model and will link up some of my picks, but to put it as succinctly as possible, it's super cool and super limited.
Absolutely, I love it. My pick, though, is a little bit different. It's 43mm, it's matte, it's lightweight titanium, and it's got a green dial with green ceramic bezel. It's really cool, but one detail that I really, really appreciated was the fact that the bezel ceramic had a radial brush, which I think is just quite sophisticated.
I have to agree. I think it's a pretty sophisticated package all round. And in terms of price, so the titanium one is 6,100 Aussie dollars. The limited edition is 6,300 Aussie dollars, while the steel 43mm models on the bracelet are 4,350, and of course those 36mm models, we can't forget about those. Those are 4,100 Aussie dollars.
Nice, Andy. That's a very tidy package.
Absolutely, Felix. To discover more about the new Tag Heuer Aqua Racer, head to tagheuer.com or to your local Tag Heuer boutique.
Now, Andy, we're going to get back to the show.
Felix, what is Only Watch?
Well, Only Watch, as we said at the start, it's a charity auction, basically. It's a biannual event that has been auspiced by the, I'm not sure if it's His Royal Highness or, whatever his title is, but Prince Albert of Monaco. And like all good charity auctions, it has a clear and defined cause, and that is raising funds, in this case, for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And the funds that it's raised to date have been pretty impressive, Andy. So this is the 9th edition. The previous 8 have raised over 70 million euro.
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's got a lot of momentum.
Yeah, and it's held in November. It's held sort of part of the Geneva Watch Auctions. And this installment has 54 brands who've contributed watches or timepieces, I suppose.
Now, they're all unique. That's sort of obviously the point, is that...
they're the only watches of their kind.
Yeah, so that's always been the concept. It's obviously got a great cause, and 1 to 2% of the result goes to the organizational costs, and the rest really does go to charity, which is pretty remarkable.
What do you think? So this is it's sort of become one of the more exciting events in the watch calendar. Like, it's like, oh, this is cool. What sort of prices are going to get? What do you think Only Watch means for the watch industry and for watch enthusiasts, Andy?
I mean, it's always interesting when it's sort of a brand that you wouldn't expect to reaches a sum. I don't think it's reflected across the market though. Like there's a Baltic in this mix that has an estimate of around 20,000 US, which if it will sell for sort of at least that. And it's more that sort of charity spirit of people, being able to make a donation. It's tax deductible in a lot of parts of the world as well. I think the way this is set up, if you, like for example, if you live in certain states in America, you can kind of deduct this from your tax return. So there's some interesting and strategic people out there that sort of can double dip, but it's not reflective of market because it's not a normal auction. And whenever there's a unique piece, there's tends to be a lot of hype and a lot of a huge premium attached to it. So I think it's just interesting to see the different kind of pieces that people put out.
People come up with.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you talked about strategy because I think it's also strategic on the other side. And I'm not aware of this to any sort of certainty, but I can assume that with certain watches, there's an investment from the brand to go, all right, well, we've got to make sure this gets a good result for us because, we want to be able to send the press release out after the auction saying, brand X has raised, 100% overestimate for our watch. And I think it also has a bit of a follow-on effect for what we're going to see in the commercial releases, maybe in a few years' time or a year's time, something like that. We were talking before, Andy, about the last edition, wasn't it? Or the edition before that, there was a ceramic Tudor.
Well, 2019 was the last only watch. So that was when they did the ceramic Black Bay.
And we got a ceramic Black Bay regular edition earlier this year.
Yeah.
Or late last year.
So some people, I think it was still a bit different. Obviously, it might have been a different movement back in 2019.
But I mean, even so, I think they sort of tease test the waters for a concept or a style or a dial or something like that. That you're going to see more broadly down the road. And that makes sense because, I mean, if you're working on a commercial release, you might keep one of the prototypes aside and auction it off for charity. Why not? It's, something that would have been destroyed otherwise.
No, it's an awesome cause. And it's a great way to raise a lot of money with, not a huge amount of worker investment. It's a really good thing.
Well, we'll find out about the results. But do you want to dig into some of the lots? I don't think we're going to talk about all 53 of them. Or
yeah, so the list isn't final yet. I imagine more brands will come on board, more watchmakers will get involved. But of the sort of the 54, I feel like we can kind of pick out maybe the top 10, 15 that really stand out to us as being interesting and worth chatting about in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, because also let's be honest, there's a lot of pretty niche offerings out there in the mix that you don't hear too much about in the day-to-day watch media, and we're going to perpetuate that silence.
You want to kick it off?
We're not talking about them. I think there's one watch that we have to kick it off with, Andy.
Which one?
The one that's... actually, no, that's not the watch I wanted to talk about. I was going to make a joke about...
Let's just cut it.
No. It works because I was going to make a joke about the Journe, but I thought it was AP because it reminds me of the Infinity Gauntlet.
You've been looking at a particular Instagram meme page, Felix.
No, I was just messaging James Buttery from Hypebeast Watches about it.
Okay, all right. Let's start alphabetically. It's how they're listed on the site. The first name that jumps out to me in particular is Acrivia.
Acrivia. Well, what are we looking at here, Andy Green? What are we talking about?
We're looking at a concept at the moment from Rexhepi, and it's a sketch, but it looks exciting. It's going to be 38 millimeters. The chronometer in platinum with the Grand Few enamel dial, which is obviously quite cool. Estimate 70 to 100,000 Swiss francs, but I can see this going for 4 or 5 times that. And there's something special about this piece, Felix.
I mean, honestly, it's a unique Acrivia. It's going to be bananas anyway. You don't have to have a finished piece at this point. I think there's enough people out there that are on the Rexhep hype train that this can do phenomenally well. And it is special. So it's a successor to the original chronometer contemporain. So this is 2, but the case is what is one of the many unique things about this, in that it's made by J.P. Hagman, who, if you were deep in the weeds of particularly Patek collecting, you will know that Hagman is a case maker, one of the greats. I can't think of too many. Actually, I can. Watchmaking is beautiful in that it will celebrate people that otherwise, don't get talked about. And this guy is a case maker. He had a private career for a long time. In fact, he retired in 2017, but somehow Recep has convinced him to pick up the tools again, and he's back making watch cases for Acrivia, including this one.
Yeah, it's you know it's going to be a banger. You just know with Acrivia, it's just going to be big. It's such a hot brand at the moment, and you know they can't make enough.
And I think this for Only Watch, this is where the real value, like from a buyer and investor point of view, can be had. Like things like this, Patek, and those super like Journe, like the ones that are hot, that are low production, and there is already an existing market for unique pieces, and they don't do too many of them. I suppose that's where I think Only Watch really shines.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Alphabetically, who is next?
Shall we sidle on down to Le Brassus with Audemars Piguet?
What's going on with AP?
They're making a watch, Andy Green. I've got another radical surprise for you. It's a Royal Oak.
Ooh, what sort?
It's a jumbo, extra thin, time only. But it is unique, like legitimately unique, in that they have put it in a new case, which combines sandblasted titanium with polished bulk metallic glass, which has been used by a few brands now. And I think it's like it's one of those. It's like a metal ceramic, one of those sort of weird composite materials, a non-crystalline something. But basically, it looks cool, and it's more impressive from a metallurgical point of view. Won't scratch, won't fade.
Looks pretty cool.
Reads great in the press
release. Some really nice texture in that sort of that case finishing.
Yeah, so that's the titanium, I think, in the main case, and then it'll be the BMG, it's the bezel and the middle links. What do you think about this, Andy?
AP is just so hot right now. The 202 is obviously, I think, the Royal Oak to own. Wild, 160 to 320,000 Swiss francs. That is, yeah.
Where do you reckon it'll go for a price?
I mean, we're at a point where a regular 15202 with the blue dials going for 6 figures. So I can see this pushing. Like really, I can see this nudging $500,000.
$500,000?
Yeah, I can see it. People are spending so much money on AP at the moment.
Yeah, I would think it might even go a bit more.
Potentially $1 million. You honestly don't know.
I mean, it's wild.
And the market with the pandemic at the moment, it is anyone's guess.
Oh, that's right. I was just reading the top line of the pressing. This is the last unique piece, reference 15202, and heralding in a new era.
All right, let's move to B for Baltic. Whew, this is really cool. So Baltic, obviously, it's a relatively young brand, but they've jumped in and they have put forward something that is pretty cool, a pulsometer chronograph mono pusher, which, of course, is a unique piece. What have they done with the movement here, Felix?
This is fascinating, Andy. Before we get to the movement, I just want to talk about how cool the dial is. It looks like a Baltic dial. Like, it's very nice. It's pretty Spartan, but they've got a little 1/1 on the dial, which I just think's nice. I really like that.
It's tasteful.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Etienne and the team at Baltic to have this in Only Watch. Like, I wonder how that sort of process happened. Like, were they approached or did they pitch? Like, maybe we should see if we can get someone on and talk about the story behind it or something, because it's pretty cool. But the movement is it's a 1940s era Venus 150 monopusher that has been gussied up and refinished and refurbed and popped in a case.
Killer.
The interesting thing, which you sort of alluded to before, this 36mm monopusher chronograph from a brand that normally makes $1,000 watches, estimate 12 to 18,000 francs.
Yeah, the first $20,000 Baltic, which is quite cool. The next piece that we're talking about that jumps out. This might be one of the best entries to Only Watch.
Bold.
Bell & Ross BR01 Cyber Skull.
Yeah, you're right. I don't want you to be right, Andy, but
this is strong.
It's just cool. Like,
so cool. So the Cyber Skull came out last year, didn't it?
Was it? Yeah, or late the year before, but around that. It's not too old.
Pandemic blur. I think it's last year. It came out. It was a limited edition. Obviously, the skull was what sort of connected the movement to sort of the case, and
yeah,
this is just a completely. It's a hot take. It is just a hot take. So it's made from like 3 blocks of sapphire. So the case itself is kind of clear, and then you've got this skull on the dial, which makes up sort of the floating dial. But it's
bridges.
It's made from like, what is it? Orange.
I think that's orange sapphire.
It is so cool. Yeah, it is.
Composed of 6 faceted transparent sapphire elements: skull, jaw, and femoral heads. They're the end of the bones.
Yeah.
Orange metallization on the back face of the 6 elements. Animation of the jaw by turning the crown. Do you know what's wild?
What?
this is technically a dial variation.
Yeah.
And dial variations usually like, oh, it's a dial variation. Cool. Well, nicely done. But this is like, it's amazing.
This is amazing. Like, this is, if I was to think of like, yeah, this is a unique piece. It's super different, super interesting. Bought it at a charity auction. Amazing.
Well, that's lovely. What's the estimate on that? It is, that is spendy. Andy, what do you reckon they want for it?
Hundy?
Yeah, 90 to 110 is the estimate.
Give it $250,000, I reckon.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Bell and Ross?
Yeah, I think so.
Bold, Andy Green. Bold.
I think it's the coolest one I've seen so far.
Really?
I mean, we've been through 4 watches, but yeah.
The Crivia was a picture, so.
Yeah, Crivia.
You know who might be positioned to take that mantle of coolest one?
What's that?
Blank Pan.
Really?
Let's have a look. See what it is. Oh, that's pretty cool. We are talking about the Tribute to 50 Fathoms NORAD 4 only watch, which is 50 Fathoms that looks like it's had a close encounter with a pumpkin.
Get a little bit too close to the old radioactive material.
Well, I mean, so everything's orange again. That orange theme. The NORAD symbol is the trefoil, as it is technically called. It does look surprisingly like a jack-o'-lantern.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and it does mention that it is aligned to the color of 2021 only watch. So there you go.
Yes, I mean, other than the pretty color, there's not too much going on here aside from an already excellent watch. The NORAD's hot, the 50 Fathoms hot, orange is hot. 12 to 18,000 francs.
Yeah, it'll go. It'll be more than that.
Solid. Yeah, I mean it's nice. Keeping with the B theme, Andy. B for Breguet.
Breguet Type 20 only watch. This is an interesting. This is an interesting one. It's sort of a little bit more subtle. They're calling it a faithful re-edition of their sort of, obviously the Type 20, and it's pretty faithful. It's equipped with a Vaju 235 movement. So
look at that big old indicator on the 3 o'clock.
Well, that's pretty similar to what they used in the original 1950s version, I think, Felix. So,
do you know what else I find interesting about this?
The size?
No, it's very similar to the watch they submitted for 2019.
Maybe they just got a drawer full of
type 20 prototype dials.
Just engrave the case back and they're off. Wow, I like this because of the size. This is a 38mm watch.
Yeah, it's a good size. 13.9 for a chrono. That's solid. One of a kind.
Yeah, very cool.
I'd again 35 to 50,000 francs. I have seen no issues in achieving that. And those Breguet Type 20s are hot at the moment.
Yeah,
vintage ones,
collector's pieces. Next up, I think we should talk about Chopard Alpine Eagle.
When are we not talking about Chopard?
Well, not right now because we are talking about the Chopard Alpine Eagle XL Chrono for only watch. Why are we talking about it, Felix?
Because it's freaking wild.
I think the dial. I think the dial is worth a chat. Have you had a look yet?
Yeah, I'm still trying to work it out. Can you explain what I'm looking at here, Andy Green?
Well, it's made from granite from the Swiss region of Graubünden.
I mean, I've gotten in trouble for my pronunciation in the past, but yeah, Graubünden.
Graubünden. So it is a granite dial. That's a cool touch. I'm here for that.
It's a granite dial from the region, so there's a local link, but it also kind of has a cool 90s hypercolor vibe going on that I think works well with the design of the watch itself.
Kind of looks like a satellite image of the Earth, like green, blue. Very cool.
Also interesting that it's on a leather strap.
I think I've seen it on a strap like this.
And the case is bead blasted. Usually the cases are polished.
Yeah, bead blasted case. And actually, look at the strap. Look at the attachment system. It seems to be some sort of quick strap style vibes.
Yeah, interesting.
It's integrated.
Well, I mean, the Alpine Eagle normally is, but I don't know if it's
some sort of
I'm
pin
not familiar
system
enough to be familiar with the leather strap that they already have. 30 to 50K. I see no issues with that achieving that sort of price at a excited auction.
You know what? What's up next is what I think is going to be the biggest sale price that we look at. I think this is going to be the top seller.
Are we talking about Japac Genève, Debatoon, or Decando?
No, I'm talking about Francois.
Mr.
FPJ, Mr. Journe himself.
Yes. Not just Francois, but also Francis.
Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola.
What a weird collab. What a time to be alive, Andy Green. Talk to me. What's happening with this watch?
Okay, so This is the watch that I think most of the internet thought was a bit of a joke. It has effectively a gauntlet on the dial.
Sure.
And
Little old medieval armor glove.
yeah, which is based off of a illustration of a artificial hand from a long time ago.
The 16th century.
The 16th century, yeah. And it's you basically have a 60-minute track around the edge of the dial, and then you have I guess an open hand, which will indicate the hour through a series of finger gestures. So it kind of makes sense when you kind of like, I looked at how you read the time and I sort of, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6. And it's sort of like you're learning to count.
I'm excited for 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock is the shaka sign. There is no bird o'clock, which is, I think, a missed opportunity.
Can you imagine the meetings between Francis Ford Coppola and
Yeah. It should have been like a great time. Like, it's like 5 o'clock. It's like, all right, time to go. But they're saying 300 to 400 Swiss francs. I see this being millions because F.P. Journe is just ridiculous at the moment. You cannot get it. You can't get close to it. And this is just a ridiculous kind of
I just want to read a little bit from the press excerpt because I think it's worth finding out why one of the greats of modern watchmaking is making a watch with one of the greats of modern cinema. This watch was born in 2012 while having dinner at Francis Ford Coppola's house in Napa Valley. He asked me if it could be possible to tell time with a hand in a watch. I replied that the idea was interesting and required thinking about it, but how to display 12 hours with 5 fingers? It was not an easy matter, and this complex challenge inspired and motivated me. Once I figured it out, Francis immediately sent the sketches for the fingers' positions. After more than 2 years, I could finally focus on Fekit. After 7 years of development, I am proud to present the FFC prototype.
I cannot imagine it's an easy mechanism to figure out.
And because it's a prototype, it's going to be industrialized. We're going to see this again. They're not going to spend 7 years coming up with a new mechanism and only use it on one watch.
No way. And it's going to be interesting to see the pictures of this. Like,
it's cool. I think it's very
They're teasing us as well on Instagram. They're going to reveal the time telling in action. So I don't think this is something. Actually, I don't think this is going to go into production, Felix.
I reckon it will. No. I think it's very cool. It strikes me as being quite like the illustration. It is like medieval, like those old school time telling things where it wasn't just hands, like those old Breguet sympathy clocks where you read it, by touching the dial, stuff like that. I think it's I'm here for it. Good job.
I think this is a once off. If you spent 8 years on it and then the first one goes.
Well, they're going to make maybe another one, and Francis Ford's going to have it.
That's true. He needs.
He
needs his cut.
It's a bit of a dick move to make a watch inspired by him and then sell it for auction. What do you reckon? What do you reckon it's going to go for? Put a dollar figure on it.
I think it's going to be 3 million.
Yeah, look, I'll go 3.4.
All right. If we're going to, 3.675.
So you've gone now. Okay, well now it's got to be 3.676.
We're having a bidding war. All right. Well, let's talk about another big, bold orange watch from Hublot, Big Bang Tourbillon. This is sort of, another sort of, in line with what Bell & Ross have offered in sort of that sapphire crystal case with the orange touches, but it's their 45mm Big Bang. We saw their sapphire work earlier this year that they sort of released 3 or 4 months ago. This is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool watch.
And honestly, I think if there's any brand out there that's well equipped to doing unique pieces, for quickly off, for various and diverse causes, it's Hublot. Like they'd really excel at this sort of stuff, and they'd be set up to do it. I don't know about this one, Andy. It didn't excite me as much as the Bell & Ross.
Yeah, it doesn't. If you weren't super into your Hublot, I don't think you would necessarily know that this wasn't a catalogue piece.
Well, it kind of is for me, because I'm pretty sure this Tourbillon exists in both orange and transparent versions already.
Yeah.
Like, if I really had the means and missed out on this one, I could buy one of each and then swap the bezel around, maybe.
Yeah, it does look a little bit like that. That's harsh from Felix, but that's okay.
let's just say I won't be bidding on it.
Okay, all right. Let's dip over to. What about? We skipped Gerard Perregaux.
How can we skip GP?
Your alphabetical list was out of order.
Alphabetical-ish. I like to refer to it as.
Ish. What is this called? The cassette?
Casquette.
Casquette?
It is French for tape. Tape. I don't know, cassette. An audio cassette.
This is up there with, this is the second coolest watch or only watch. This is done with our friend George Bamford from Bamford Watch Department. So
yeah,
they've got that working relationship, but this is a carbon fiber twist on, the best of the 1970s and what GP had to offer back then. Digital display? Man.
It's, can we describe it for an audio only format? And
okay, so think, forged carbon case.
Yeah.
Rectangle case.
It's sort of, what was that, Andy and F? Was it the one that had used a similar digital readout on the front? The one. That Andy and F with a digital readout on the front, HM10 or something. Yeah, it's got like a little dial.
It's like that mechanical digital vibe where
Armatron and those guys did it back in the day.
Yeah, like the Pulsar.
Yeah.
That used mechanical movements to display, back when digital watches were becoming really hot, but they were too expensive. All these mechanical brands would make, mechanical watches
with digital readouts.
Yeah, and they'd use like magnifying glasses and stuff like that to really make it pop. So this is.
But this one is quartz, isn't it? Yeah, tubular LED.
Yeah, of course. No. It's popping.
Yeah, so the movement is quartz, which I think is a bold move in keeping with a bold design, and I'm here for it as a fully fledged quartz convert.
It is a cool looking watch, man.
Yeah. What do they want for it? For a quartz watch? 10 to 20,000 francs. 100%. The inspiration for this watch came from George Bamford, an extensive love of obscure 70s watches.
Oh, he'd have knowing George well and having, been to his office many times, he would have dozens of these sitting around and he would go
just lying around. He's cornered the market on 70s casquette GPs.
He has the quirkiest watch collection I've ever seen. So, yeah.
So you're going rogue, Andy. What are you
All right, so I'm going to go rogue and throw in one that's not on your list, but I've looked at it, and this is one that I really want to own. Laurent Ferrier Classic Origin Hope.
You know what? He didn't get the memo.
He did not get the memo.
He didn't get the orange memo.
Little three-hander, 40mm case, aqua marine matte dial. So, green.
It's aquamarine. It's like mint green.
It's like minty aqua. I don't know.
Matte
Flip the case over. Look at the movement.
Make your mind up on a case color, Laurent. Is it matte green? Is it aquamarine? Is it mint? Jeez Louise.
You can have it all, Laurent, but not all at once. Look at the movement, though.
Yes. I don't.
Stunning.
Yeah.
LF116.01.
That's not here. And they're hot. I mean, again, if you're talking about, we said at the start, like a Crivia, this is one that won't go wrong either because the quality is there. It's legitimately cool. They're low production anyway. Would you spend 29 to 39,000 francs on it?
Yeah, but I feel like it's probably going to maybe like a 75, 90, 75. I feel 75.
I reckon it'll ease out 100.
Maybe. All right, what's next? Patek. P for Patek.
Speaking of unexpected,
yeah,
can we talk about Patek Philippe?
I think we should.
What have they made? Is it a watch? Is it a pocket watch?
Is it a travel watch? No, it's a desk clock.
That's a really good thought. Imagine if they made a travel clock.
Could you imagine?
That would be phenomenal.
People would go crazy.
The vindication. That'd be the ultimate troll. That's.
And to get an Nautilus, you have to buy a Patek travel clock. It's the only way.
God, I want that to happen. And okay. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. It's a complicated desk clock, reference 27001M-001. It's inspired by a desk clock delivered to James Ward Packard in 1923, the original of which is safe in the Patek Museum.
So before you get into the details, Felix, how much sleep do you think that John Reardon has lost over this? Like doing the numbers, can I buy this? How high can I bid up on this? He's sweating over this for sure.
I think it's not sweating in that way. I think it is the profound regret and frustration of someone who knows he cannot have it but really, really wants it.
I don't know. I think I think he might. if you were ever going to throw in a Hail Mary and consolidate or really go at something, this is that for him. This is that for them. And you know what I love most about this?
What?
The inscription on the front that just says, the only one.
Yeah, that's got some
heavy
chutzpah, as they might say. Yeah, so it's a desk clock, Andy. It's very old-fashioned. It's sort of wood-mounted with gold and, gilt and walnut and sterling silver case on a little angle. So when you're at your desk, controlling the future of the world and buying up all the spice east of, the Yangtze, you can see the time conveniently and quickly on its beautiful, what is that colour? Yellow gilt opaline? I don't know. It's that sort of classic Patek off-white.
It's a winner.
It's just, golly gosh, Andy Green, someone who has 400,000 to 500,000 Swiss francs will be getting a bargain.
At least.
What do you reckon it's going to go for? 6 million.
A lot. A unique Pateks. I mean, the benchmark for like a unique Patek is probably 5 or 6 million already. So I don't know, probably like $9 million.
Sure. No, oh, yeah. Okay. So dollars.
Yeah.
Is it the same as francs these days?
It's pretty close.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right. So close that tab. Open the next one. Pull up the Richard Mille RM67-02, a Charles Leclerc prototype.
Richard Mille, a watch famous for its lack of coolness, cachet, and limited editions.
Yeah.
So Charles Leclerc is the cyclist, yeah?
So no, Charles Leclerc is a race car driver.
Okay.
F1
from Monégasque. What does that mean? From Monte Carlo. It's his hometown.
Yeah,
that's cool. And I assume this is one that he's worn. That's what Richard Mille tends to do with this, like the one that the actual guy wore, like Nadal's Nadal, and he's oh yeah, that's right, because Richard Mille has a new relationship with Ferrari, don't they?
They do.
I mean, good job. Someone will spend a lot of money on this, Andy.
Someone will spend 10 times what they're asking, which is around 330. Not asking, but estimating.
Do you know what I like about this?
What's that?
It's a quartz watch.
Interesting. It's a mechanical movement, but it's made from quartz.
Wah, wah, wah.
Looks cool.
That's such a flex. Oh, this is just my quartz watch.
You know what? So you've reminded me the thing about these prices, because I mentioned earlier there's some tax implications, but basically my understanding is if you're in certain states and wherever this is hosted, if it's hosted in the right place, you can deduct the difference between the estimate and the realized price.
Yes.
So that's why these estimates are not exactly in line with what we would think. They're in line with if they were to release it as like if they were to make this as a production piece, this is what they would charge.
I think they also typically they go off like retail price.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, as if they were to retail these pieces and they weren't unique. So famously, that's why the Tudor's are always $4,000 to $8,000, because it's like, well, if they estimate for $500,000, you actually disincentivize people from going too crazy. So,
and also from a PR point of view, it always looks better to have something saying it sold for
400 times. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the Millies. Where are we going after there?
Let's take a trip down to Tag Heuer with their carbon Monaco.
This is cool. This is maybe this was the second theme. It's like if you can't have orange, have some carbon in there. And,
this has orange.
Yeah, I know. Tags manage both. I was about to say, Andy.
Apparently a nod to the iconic Dark Lord, which was their PVD-coated Monaco from, I think, the 70s.
Back in the day, yeah. The also, named for Darth Vader.
Yeah, it is. Pretty gangster.
Yeah, what I want to talk about isn't the forged carbon case or the orange details. It's that strap. That is wild, Andy Green. It's like embossed leather that's made to look like a bracelet.
Yeah, it's
handmade leather with the impression of a metal bracelet.
It's cool. What do you think of the case, though?
It's nice. It's their there was the Bamford one. There was a limited edition a couple of years ago that sold out like hotcakes.
Yep.
It's the same deal, yeah.
I don't know if it is.
I mean, it's a forged carbon case.
Yeah, probably is.
It's got orange highlights.
It's orange highlights are nice.
Cool.
Good balance.
Just a nice watch.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go wrong with this. Like, there's enough people out there that love Tag Heuer. 50 to 100K estimate. Interesting that that's not retail, by the way, based on a previous discussion. I'm into it. Good job, Tag.
Why would this not be retail? It's probably, what's the movement in it?
Heuer.
Interesting.
Maybe Tag Heuer don't play that way.
Yeah, don't play those games.
Maybe they get a deduction based on the
Maybe they do on the
We
donation
do
value.
need to get. Honey, you want an accountant? Can't we get an accountant on?
Yeah, they probably
charity tax lawyer specialist.
What has Ulysse Nardin done?
They certainly haven't done a watch, which I think is exciting and novel. They have done a special version of their UFO, I'm going to say desk clock / evil minion device with orange highlights.
It's quite the move.
3 clocks.
Orange as well.
It's sick. This is like desk toy for billionaires.
The retail price on these is like 50K, right? They're hard to get because they're limited. But it's like 50 or 60K. Maybe millionaires. Maybe millionaire desk clocks.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, how many desks do billionaires have?
They could buy all of them. But there's only one of these.
One for each desk. This is in their office, like where all their staff have one of these. That's what I meant.
Urwerk have done a UR102.
Taking it back to their originals.
This is, again, we're seeing I think it's a platinum case.
Let's find out.
Oh, no, it's the case back's platinum, but the case middle and lugs are aluminium.
Wild.
Brush platinum, aluminium, and then there's some enamel, blue lacquer filling. Is that enamel? Close enough.
Yeah, this is cool. This is, a nice interplay of platinum and aluminium. That's unexpected. I like the throwback to the very first Urwerks that they ever made. That's nice. And, it's just nice, Andy.
What are we wrapping on, Felix?
I don't know. There's a watch. I don't know if you've heard of it. From a company, what are they? Tudors.
Tudors.
What are Tudors? They've made a watch. It looks a bit old and ratty to me, but some people will probably like it. What are we talking about, Andy?
Black Bay Gmt 1 for Only Watch 2021. It is a Tudor aged take on the Black Bay.
That
when
old
I say that,
steel finish.
Yeah, it's like that made worn vibe. This is like circa 2016 customized watches that we're sort of going for. Aged stainless steel. It is interesting.
Brands do that sort of stuff. Who else does that? G-Shock does some finishes.
Zenith
like that.
went through a phase, I think.
Yeah, Zenith did. You're right, with their pilot's watches.
Now, I think this is a new movement for the GMT.
It's certainly a special movement. Like it's been given the finished treatment.
Well, the GMT doesn't have the meters certification currently. The production piece doesn't. This does.
Yeah, okay. So, but that's just, testing on the
70 hours power reserve. I'm going to say that this is a different movement.
You sure on that? I think the certification will be new, and they might have changed one or two things.
Yeah, that's a unique movement, Felix. The 1U.
Yeah, that'll be what we've done to it to make it pass the METAS.
Yeah, it's different. And obviously a clear case back. We've never seen that on a Tudor GMT. But it's really about the case and the bezel and even the dial. I mean, I'm actually really into it. People are kind of shitting on it a little bit, calling it the exhaust pipes, comparing the sort of finishing to that.
Yeah, sure. I don't love it. I'll be honest. It's not.
I really do.
That's okay.
I really like this.
Just as long as you don't spend OT company money to buy it, we won't have a problem, Andy.
Yeah, so there's just like this worn-in look, and to me this is the equivalent of like bleached denim, where it's sort of you're getting into it once it's been beaten up and ratty and worn, or like rat rod car. This is a rat rod Black Bay GMT. Estimate of 4,000 to 8,000, Felix. This is going to be, I mean, the last unique Tudor that they sold went crazy and was, I think, 375 off the top of my head.
Do you reckon they're there to clock $1 million yet?
Oh, I don't know that this is the design that's going to clock $1 million. If they had done, say, like a precious metal Black Bay 58, maybe.
Ooh, yeah, maybe.
Like a unique
do you know
sense.
what I do like about this, Andy? I do think, for me, I don't want to just, think it looks like an exhaust pipe. I do think it is a little lacking in nuance. And you're really right about calling it back to like 2006 modded watches.
Yeah.
I do love the bezel. I like that all black bezel. I think that's really nice. I do quite like the dial. I don't know, maybe, just doesn't excite me, Andy. Hey, we've got one more, Andy.
Oh, who?
We've gone from the Alpha to the Zenith.
Oh, yes, of course.
We've got to finish on a rainbow.
No, you love to finish on a rainbow. Talk me through it, Felix.
It is. So a little while ago, Zenith did a collab with Felipe Pantone, and they've done a unique piece, Felipe Pantone Defy Double Tourbillon, which is it's sapphire. It's a double tourbillon. You can see from the left hand, there's two, mounted turbs there. But what you're really noticing is that iridescent rainbow vibe on every other sort of highlight and feature that you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, it's
wild.
colourful. Very like what is it? It reminds me of like gaming vibes, you know?
Yeah.
Like a lot of patterns, a lot of rainbow.
RGBs.
Yeah, a lot of RGBs. Yeah. This is cool. The only thing I probably don't like is the case size at 46 millimeters.
Would you wear this to a rave at Ibiza?
Yes. Which is where you would likely find me when we're not in a global pandemic.
And when you spend 180 to 220,000 francs on a watch.
It's a fair bit. But it's cool. It is it's a fun vibe.
And there's the other detail I like is that like weird optical illusion effect on the small seconds.
Yeah. No,
you get dizzy looking at it.
Tron vibes. Yeah. I'm here for it.
Tron on the weekend.
Let's go on Tron. Felix, that's enough.
Yeah, more than enough.
That's enough. You are gonna have a lot of fun editing out these show notes.
Oh God.
We might have to just create a gallery or something and link everything up, post it all up.
You know what I was thinking halfway through, and then I thought we probably should. I wasn't going to mention because I didn't want to create extra work for myself.
What's that?
Like write down what we thought the estimates would be.
We'll just have to listen back and do it. As always, thank you to our show sponsor, Tag Heuer.
Good luck in Only Watch Tag Heuer. You've made a cracker of a watch.
Yeah, we're about it. We're about it. If you want to email us and tell us how wrong we were about our estimates or thoughts on the hottest pieces from this auction, otthepodcast@gmail.com.
If you want to stand the Tudor.
Yeah, if you want to see those images, Felix, where will we be posting them?
I will be probably posting them on Instagram, which is ot.podcast. Please, we'll do a little gallery. Andy will put it together. We'll maybe do a slideshow with some sound effects. And you let us know what you think the auction estimates, are, and what do you
and if you're bidding,
fake auction.
And you know how you can let us know as well? Our Discord channel, there's going to be a link in the show notes. There's a link in our Instagram bio. Discord is going off, so join us there if you want to have some one-on-one time with Felix and I. And thank you for listening. Thank you for telling your friends, subscribing, yelling about it.
Yeah, cool. And November 6th, Only Watch, register to bid.
Yeah, splash some cash for a good cause. See you next time.
Bye.